Hello and welcome to Full Metal Mouse.
Hello, I didn't know you were going to press record.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, your wife just got home and you probably want to go see her and, eat dinner or something. I don't know.
That's what the kids call it these days.
Thank God we're on Full Metal Mouse because we said some inappropriate stuff on the BSI Comics podcast that you want me to cut out, but I'm probably not going to.
Whatever. Get over it.
No, not just that. The stuff about Frank Miller.
What did I say inappropriate about Frank Miller?
That was the stuff that you want me to cut out.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Where we talked about him dying.
You talked about him dying.
But you went with it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is going to be a weird episode because
I'm not wearing pants.
That's not a weird episode. That's a normal episode. There's a reason that you can only see us from the waist down. Anyway, or the waist up. Anyway. So this episode is going to be broken up into segments because two trailers came out that are Marvel trailers. One is Logan, the other is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and so we figured it was appropriate to do for both the BSI Comics podcast, whatever. We still haven't gotten that straight, and Full Metal Mouse. It just made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And as we mentioned, as we will mention technically in the segment, we've already recorded it. We're both wearing Disney adjacent shirts.
Marvelish.
So, but we did want to talk a little bit about news that's going on. I didn't realize this. Maybe a lot of people did. Apparently, Bob Iger is going to be stepping down in 2018 as CEO of Disney. He did some interview. I forget with New York Post where he was discussing what Disney wants from the next CEO and what they need. A lot of it just has to do with like respecting creators and stuff like that. I'm happy about this. I feel like Disney, no offense to Bob Iger, but I feel like Disney's been flailing for a few years now as far as like their direction and company friction. I think they need somebody strong. They need new blood.
Fresh.
Yeah, to come in. So definitely a good thing, but I guess that depends on who comes in.
Mm-hmm.
We need a Steve Jobs. We don't need a Tim Cook.
Tom Cook.
What is that guy?
Tom Cook draws He-Man.
Oh yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah,
He's really nice. I got art from him. But so that's pretty cool. But maybe 2018's a. Well, I guess these things take a while, especially like if somebody announces that they're stepping down. I guess
it's only a year.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, it doesn't say when in 2018. But probably about a year and a half. So. Did you hear that Disney was thinking about buying Twitter?
No.
Disney was. Well, so the deal is that Twitter's in trouble. Some of their own investors are suing them because the heads of Twitter... No, Instagram was bought out by Facebook.
Right.
Some of the heads of Twitter had apparently been lying about how much money they were making to sort of inflate their portfolio, and so now they're being sued. And Disney was in talks to buy it, which I don't really know how that would help Disney.
I don't know that's really necessary.
Well, they ultimately decided not to, and supposedly the reason is that Twitter's known for having a lot of trolls.
Mm-hmm.
As most social media is.
Fake handles galore.
But there's nothing wrong with that. My biggest problem with Twitter is that they are free speech hounds. They do shut down people's. If they disagree with somebody, they'll delete them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get into the cases because it doesn't really matter. But the point is, if you're a social media platform and your platform is supposedly to be a free, open platform for other people, and then you start selectively deleting people you don't like or people who say things that you disagree with, that kind of lowers your stock there. But yeah, I can understand Disney not wanting to be involved with the mess that is Twitter. It would be interesting to see. The really interesting thing is that Disney has the resources to make their own version of Twitter.
Right.
I
don't think it's necessary. But
I don't think it's necessary either, and it probably would be more trouble than it was worth. But But interesting news. So the last two bits of news, Disneyland has started doing their overhaul of what? They started doing their overhaul of the Tower of Terror, which is going to make way for. I mean, it's going to be the same attraction essentially. It's an overlay. It's tearing out the guts of it, overhauling the outside. It's going to be the new Guardians of the Galaxy attraction out in Disneyland,
which we were both pretty skeptical about, but actually looks pretty cool.
It does. I'm kind of in the camp of, and apparently a lot of people are really upset by this. I'm not upset by it, but I'm kind of in that camp where I feel like it's unnecessary. I understand Disney's position. They only have the rights to use these characters in, technically anywhere west of the Mississippi. But, realistically, they're not going to build another park in Minnesota.
Right.
So, I understand their position because Disneyland's biggest problem is that it's California. There's nowhere to build. The reason Orlando was such a perfect position for Walt Disney was they just had tons of room to expand. Like, Orlando was barely a city.
They still have tons of room to expand.
Exactly. They own their own city out there. It's called Celebration. They've got plenty of room. But Disneyland doesn't have that option. If the best thing they could do is do what Universal's doing right now out in Orlando, which is to buy a plot of land a little down the way and bus people back and forth. But that would still be expensive. You'd be buying premium property because anything around Disney is premium property.
Right.
And they're not going to move it like 50 miles away, So I get their point. Like, they got to take something down. What I disagree with is all the people who are saying, well, it's Twilight Zone. Like, people don't really have a connection to that. But people didn't really have a connection to that in 1993.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just
they have a connection to it now.
Right.
Like, you've built that connection.
And let's be honest, the part that says the Twilight Zone isn't the part that people think about when they think of that attraction.
It's called Tower of Terror.
Right.
I don't go, hey, you guys want to go ride Twilight Zone Tower of Terror?
Right.
No.
The Rod Serling intro is neat, but nobody goes, who's that?
Aerosmith is certainly not relevant. What's the last Aerosmith album we've heard?
Pink. But it's my favorite number. Anyway.
Pink isn't a number. It's your favorite color.
I know. I was kind of.
And that came out in what, 1990?
I'm going for it. No, I think it was early 2000s.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Even if it came out early 2000s.
I was going for like a musical number.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You can be my flamingo.
Did you fart?
No.
Okay, I don't know what that smell is. Anyway.
It's pink.
Anyway, but I agree with people. I don't. I don't think it has to be relevant.
The Aerosmith thing, it's a cool ride, and it's based on a band that's not as relevant as it once was.
Wait a minute, I disagree. We can talk about that in a second. We never got a chance to discuss it. That was pretty funny. But yeah, but the new thing is, like, the ride's still open, but they basically put a paper bag over it, or that's what it looks like.
That would actually be freaking incredible if they just had like a giant.
Well, it's a scaffolding and tarps, but it's a huge eyesore. When I saw the image, I tweeted out that Disney bought the Tower of Terror the worst ghost costume of all time. I forget how I put it. It was funnier when I heard it. I really shouldn't have brought it up, but it's pretty horrible, and people are kind of upset. Fair enough, but it's one of those things that's gonna be what it's gonna be at this point. It's like complaining about Avatar Land as much as I want to.
Well, they haven't started
theoretically, it's coming out. Theoretically,
they haven't broken ground on it, so that
they have.
Oh, have they?
They broke ground years ago.
But has anything actually been done?
Supposedly, nothing's been finished.
Yeah, right.
I think Rivers of Light is supposed to be part of it, and that should be coming out soon. I don't remember. But yeah, this thing. So that's been part of the Aerosmith ride for forever, you know? Like, everybody knows the line. Wait a minute, I love that idea. So, we're pretty dirty human beings, wouldn't you say? Not physically, but, like, emotionally, literally.
Me and you?
Not literally, yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant as a people. I was like, oh.
I've been in America. Yeah, no, it's pretty dirty. Anyway, I feel like we go for filthiness as far as jokes and stuff like that pretty commonly. Have you ever seen this and thought of the shocker?
No.
Not once. Not once. If I didn't think about it, it doesn't happen. But I guess somebody complained. So this is a sexual move. Again, this is Full Metal Mouse. 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink. If you don't know what that means, Google it. It's pretty awesome. Do it to people that love you. You're not supposed to wiggle it that much.
It's a pinky. It's fine.
I guess so. They don't have a prostate, though.
Not to be confused with the Star Trek version, the Spocker.
Live long and shocker. Anyway, point is that...
Or the rocker.
Point is that it was stupid, but Disney actually edited out that part of the video.
Why?
Because they were afraid people were like, I don't know, like little kids are like, hey, Mom, can I do this? It's been over 20 years that ride's been, well, yeah, I think like 21. I think it's like 95.
It could be 10. Who cares? Like,
so stupid. Anyway, our last bit of news is from Disneyland Paris, which we never talk about because it's not relevant, because it's one of those English countries.
Gay Paris.
I mean, it's not English, it's French.
My brother-in-law lives there.
For now, isn't he moving back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, well, good for him. I would. Screw the French.
Except they have baller internet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They also have trucks that can't. Anyway. No, that's not funny. It's not funny. I'm a horrible human being. I'm aware of this. Anyway. Sorry. So Disneyland Paris has something that unfortunately Orlando doesn't have, or will soon. Will soon. What?
Nothing.
That's funny.
No, I almost made a horrible. Go ahead.
That's good. So this is the place to do it. It actually started in Disneyland. It's called Hyperspace Mountain. Basically, it's Space Mountain, but they changed the music to the John Williams music from the Star Wars franchise, and then they add in different lights that basically simulate you in presumably an X-wing fighter flying around, avoiding TIE fighters and stuff like that. I've never been on.
Sounds pretty awesome.
It is. I've always wanted to go. Our friend Travis Hemo actually got to go when he visited Disneyland because they did it. They did an extended tour of it, but for some reason, it's going to Disneyland Paris, and it's going to be a permanent fixture from now on. Space Mountain is Hyperspace Mountain.
Cool.
Hopefully, it doesn't mean that they won't do it in other parks now. Because I'm guessing the only reason to do this in Disneyland Paris is
because why not?
Well, maybe part of it is just to differentiate it from the other Space Mountains. But anything else to talk about? I think we're kind of done here. So this next segment is our movie review section, and after that it'll just end abruptly because it's late. I got some editing to do. So
enjoy.
Peace out. Live long and shocker. Hello and welcome to the BSI Comics podcast.
Not letting it go.
Apparently. My name's Adam.
I'm Fletch.
So this episode is going to be a little segmented because we do two trailer reviews a little bit later that will also be part of Full Metal Mouse, the show that we do where we discuss like Disney and Universal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have any Universal news this week, but but we do have a little bit of like regular Marvel Comics news.
Yeah, I don't think it's any secret DC's kind of taken the market share
Mm-hmm.
of late with all their Rebirth stuff. Marvel
is playing catch up right now.
Obviously trying to grab it back. So,
but they have been trying.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nice thing about competition is like when it's on, like it inspires people to be better and do better work. You know, DC came out strong with Rebirth, so Marvel couldn't just come up with another bunch of like crappy.
Well, it's just started out one again.
Yeah, which they are doing, to be fair, but
some of it.
But they seem to be trying a little bit more. They've got a few good titles out. So the next big thing, we're currently in the middle of Death of X,
Mm-hmm.
which explains what happened to the X-Men during the 8-month gap. And I haven't been reading that. Have you?
I have not read it yet. I'm going to read it all as one big bundle.
Issue 2 just came out this week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I guess it's every other
weekly,
week.
yeah.
Oh, it's weekly? Okay. Well, the follow-up to that is going to be Resurrection, which is going to be a crossover between the
Follow-up
X-Men.
to that is IVX, then Resurrection.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So IVX is its own miniseries?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they haven't talked much about that.
That's the big crossover
Okay.
event. The big X-Men event. You know, there's always like...
So wait. Well,
like we had AVX. And
I'm learning things. So is Resurrection an actual event, or is it like one of those Marvel subtitles?
I think it's more like a subtitle.
Okay.
Like Rebirth. You know,
Okay.
it's the Resurrection.
I'm confused. Okay.
So coming out of...
I thought Resurrection was going to be a series in which there would be spin-offs that were about to talk
So
about.
coming out of IVX, we'll have the Resurrection. And the logo is kind of cleverly designed to have the X and the Inhumans logo, so you don't know...
Yeah, and it misspells Resurrection because it had to be clever.
Right.
Anyway, but we have had some titles announced for Resurrection. All X-Men, no Inhumans so far. So the one we just learned about is Generation X, which I was a huge fan of when I was I was
young
still
lad.
teenager. When I was still a teenager. Scott Lobdell, Chris Bacalo, like good stuff. It's actually Bacalo's best work. He was being inked by Mark Buckingham, who went on to fame on Fables, and then recently went back to Miracle Man.
Good
which
stuff.
He had done some work on. But yeah, really cool stuff. It was it was kind of our generation of X-Men, really. You know, the new kids.
This title.
This could be good. We don't know much about it. Like, we're looking at the cover, and obviously it's not just Generation X on the... Well, it's probably not the actual cover of the comic. It's a little, like, teaser announcement.
Yeah, I don't know. All these images that they've done for these launch books...
They're like shattered glass kind of things.
And it's kind of got, like, the character or the theme through the ages or through the time.
So, the ones we're looking at have, like, the more recent New X-Men... New Mutants, like the original New Mutants, Generation X. One of them has Jubilee, who was, of course, part of Generation X.
Mm-hmm.
Her current status is a vampire/adoptive mother. Really.
Comics are weird.
Yeah. So yeah, we don't really know what it's going to entail. Like, will it be a combination of all those things? Will it be a completely new team with new characters, but this is going to be a resurrection of a title with some weight to it. Like Generation X meant a lot to, and I feel like Marvel's tried to replicate Generation X several times.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're looking at the cover, they have, like I said, new X-Men, young X-Men.
Amazing.
No, Amazing wasn't a newer team. They did like Nightcrawler and what have you, but. Anyway, point is, like, they've tried to do Generation X a few different times, and it has not specifically Generation X, but a version of it several times, and it just never quite worked out, even though some of those books were pretty good. So that's interesting. One theme that goes throughout all these announcements is that they're not announcing any creative teams. Like, all we know is that there will be a title with this name on each of these issues. The next one of the more recent ones, is Weapon X, which of course features various members of the Weapon X program on the cover, or again, teaser, not cover. We don't know what this one will be about either. We don't know if it's going to focus on all the members of Weapon X, or if it will be specifically like a second title for the new Wolverine, Laura, who features heavily later on in the story we'll talk about. But yeah, so there's that. There's Jean Grey. Also, don't know which Jean Grey.
Don't know which iteration.
So, well, we'll talk about the other one in a second. But since it's called Resurrection, technically speaking, it could be a resurrection of Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's not where Marvel's going to go with this. It probably will be young Jean Grey because they put kind of all their eggs in that basket.
Maybe they'll put their minds together.
That would be terrible.
That would be awful.
The other one is Iceman. Now, this one we legitimately don't know whether we'll focus on the Iceman that's been around for 50 years, that Bendis decided to make gay for no particular reason.
Or the all-new Iceman.
The all-new Iceman who was gay all along. Or at least, doesn't matter. Anyway, but yeah, like, most of the images are actually from the original Iceman. So I'm assuming...
all the pictures are older images. Like, this is
right.
There's no new art.
Well, the Jean Grey one had clear pictures of the younger Jean Grey.
Right.
But this one, I'm not seeing anything that's not from the Bobby Drake that's been around forever. By the way, Marvel, if anyone from Marvel's listening, this sucks. Like, not being able to properly explain Jean Grey versus Jean Grey or Bobby Drake versus Bobby Drake, it's confusing. It's confusing for the person explaining it, much less the people listening. All, like, 5 of you. Anyway,
this stuff's not coming out till spring of next year.
Right.
So it's going to be a bit, but we got a big story, leading up to that. So hopefully that'll be good.
So yeah, I mean, I guess IVX will probably not be weekly; it'll probably be monthly.
I would guess
if they're going for spring. But yeah, I'm not pissing on these comics. I have high hopes for X-Men. X-Men, when I was a kid, was my favorite comic.
Right.
But X-Men's lost its way. There's still good books here. The Lemire stuff's nice.
It's too convoluted. There's you don't remember who's
it's
on
not that
which.
It's convoluted. It's that there's no direction. It's
There's
just everywhere.
this team over here, then this team over here, then.
Now young Scott Summers is going to be part of Champions, which I'm cool with because we discussed Champions. Turned out to be a very good book, but it's all over the place.
Also, it also serves to show that they're not getting rid of the X-Men. I mean, a lot of people, when they're pushing the Inhumans, they don't have the license. They're going to get rid of the X-Men.
No, I don't even think Rich Johnston was really pushing the idea they'd get rid of the X-Men because they could. It's too much money.
They're not going anywhere.
And the Inhumans thing isn't picking up that well. Like, it has its fans, but it's not. Inhumans is never going to be X-Men.
They're cool, but they're cool as
their own thing.
Secondary characters, they're
not... I think part of the problem is that Marvel is treating them like they're mutants now,
mm-hmm.
but they're not. They've never been. They've been a completely, technically similar concept, but a lot of the things about the Inhumans that people liked was like the alien culture. At times, literally, at one point they were on the moon,
mm-hmm.
and now they're just kind of like
Chilling.
random superpowered characters who might as well be mutants. But. And who knows? Maybe Resurrection is like the resurrection of both these two brands,
right?
Like trying to reinvent them in new ways. Because we don't know. Like we might start getting Inhumans.
I'm guessing they're going to have to find some cure for the Mists.
Maybe they will. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Hope will come back and cure the mutants of the Mist. I don't know. Anyway, next story. So. Midtown Comics is a comic shop out in New York that does pretty well for itself. It's in a big market.
Big shop.
It's probably one of the biggest in the world, I would assume, as far as sales.
As far as sales, not their location isn't huge.
It's New York City.
Being New York, but they do a lot of online sales. They do a lot of the exclusive covers. A lot of high-profile artists. They always get J. Scott Campbell to do some pretty big covers for them.
Right. And so with the new Invincible Iron Man coming out, we just got Infamous Iron Man came out this week, mm-hmm. which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Right.
But with the new Invincible Iron Man coming out, they hired J. Scott Campbell to do a couple of variant covers. I mean, technically, it's one cover with two different.
Yeah, it's like a variant where they do like different costumes.
Mm-hmm. So one of them has Riri Williams, the new Iron Man, or Ironheart. She's being called Ironheart, in her Iron Man heart costume, armor. The other has her in kind of a Tony Stark-esque, like she's got the.
It's her normal clothes. That's what she was wearing.
Well, but she's got the reactor on her chest. And people, well, I don't want to call them people. A bunch of internet social justice warriors trolls freaked out and basically accused Midtown Comics and J. Scott Campbell of overly sexualizing
a 15-year-old girl.
Well, they wanted to make sure to point out it's a 15-year-old black girl. Like, one person literally wrote, well, black girls are easy, right? Like, saying that sarcastically, as if to say that J. Scott Campbell was implying something.
Mm-hmm.
And so Midtown Comics got rid of the cover, which to me, horrible choice. Giving in to these idiots that there's not a lot of these people, and I wouldn't even credit the whole generation of kids as being this. These are just dumb kids who don't have jobs, and just when they're not at school or whatever it is, or they're not playing video games, they sit around and they complain about stuff that doesn't matter on the internet. And this is ridiculous. Yes, J. Scott Campbell drew her a little older than she is. I've seen 15-year-old girls with their midriff spared. It's not nobody looks at someone's stomach and goes, "Oh man, oh bruh, you see that girl's stomach?
Right.
You see that girl's stomach, bro?" Nobody says things like, "Yeah, I got overly weirdly like combination California."
It's
hip-hop.
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Didn't mean to. Point is people don't do that. It's there's nothing over.
Point is, people freaking out.
Right.
All he did was draw her in her actual.
And you just
outfit.
pulled up another cover that he.
Well, this is what I wanted to show
from.
you. A lot of people don't realize this, but that's her actual costume design. She kind of has track pants on, and she has a crop top.
Right. Now we can both agree that she does look older than 15 in this.
Yeah.
That's not something that's exclusive to J. Scott Campbell. A lot of artists have trouble differentiating physically the difference between a teenager and an adult when they're drawing a comic. Now, it's easy to draw the difference between a kid and an adult, but let's be honest, like 15, 16-year-olds these days, a lot of them do look like fully grown adults these days. Like, I don't know what they're putting in the water. Like, I don't know if they're drugging their lunches or whatever. Kids look a lot older, in my opinion. I'm not thinking a lot of people's opinion. It's a weird line, but the idea that J. Scott Campbell is trying to sexualize this fictional character, which again, it's a fictional character. Now I'm sure, well, there's going to be young black girls that look up to her. Yes, and I'm sure they'll wear tank tops and crop tops.
I mean, these are panels from the actual book that she appeared in. This is.
They can't see that, but yeah, it's.
But I'm showing you.
You can clearly see that her stomach's bared in it, and this is her original design. Again, it's a mountain out of a molehill.
It's just people trying to start shit.
Right. I'm not cutting that out. I don't care. It's just sad. Like J. Scott Campbell is a super nice guy. We both have a lot of art from. You have actually original art from him. For
someone to be attacked. Mm-hmm.
This is literally a dude that Disney hires to do prints for them. Now, you want to talk about overly sexualizing. His Disney prints, well, not his new ones, but like the ones he was doing before he was official Disney artist, those were pretty sexualized.
He came out officially and said he wasn't going to jump in on it, but he did make a small statement that said...
Well, it's hard when you're being attacked publicly.
All he did was draw the character on design.
Right.
And he wasn't...
And by the way, we don't know, like, he might have lost money over this. I don't know, like, I'm sure... Odds are Midtown still paid him, because one of the covers is still around. But we don't know if he lost money over it, but I don't know. I don't necessarily blame the shop for not wanting to deal with it and shutting down the cover, but in my opinion, giving it to these people is the wrong way.
Well, there's a really easy way. Just don't buy it.
Right. Well, let's be honest. They weren't going to buy it in the first place.
Right.
I don't care much about Invincible Iron Man, but But I usually do want to buy J. Scott Campbell.
Like you said, mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to bring up that point, maybe bring up a point, but don't just straight on attack somebody for something they clearly were not doing.
That's the name of the game these days.
If it's really that big a deal to you, you need to talk to Marvel about the character design if it bothers you that much.
But it's not about that. It's about making noise.
I know. I understand.
It's about having an impact, ruining people's lives because you're a hero, right? You're a warrior, sitting at your keyboard, typing away, eating your Funyuns or whatever the kids eat these days. I don't know. Sitting on Tumblr, you're
Look,
a
man,
warrior.
Don't just assume kids eat Funyuns. Okay, we don't need people attacking us.
What are you, Funyun phobic?
Because you think people eat Funyuns.
Are you a funophobe?
God.
Anyway, do we have any other news? I know Civil War II, the one of the issues is coming out a little bit.
Yeah. Marvel's trying to get that back on track. Everybody seems to think that it's really far behind. They're like, here they go again. It's really only 3 weeks behind.
Still.
I know the track record, but it's only 3 weeks behind. It's one issue. It's not behind, really. It's fine. You want to talk about behind? DK3 just came out this week.
Yeah, but
the next issue comes out next year.
The thing about DK3, though, is that it doesn't affect anything else.
I understand.
It can come out as late as it wants. Like, there's nobody going, yeah, but our issue is supposed to come out after this.
It affects people getting upset because you keep changing the...
Fair enough.
Changing the date, or just coming out and telling people, we don't know when it's going to come out. It'll be out,
Hey, can't wait for Dark Knight 4 to be announced.
Yeah.
But
maybe that's the plan. We missed it all along. They're just postponing DK3 until Frank Miller is not capable of doing another book.
I'm not going to discuss the implication of what you just said, but that's messed up.
What?
Frank Miller's dying, right?
No.
I don't think they've announced it, but you can see the pictures of him. He looks very sick.
Oh. That's sad.
Look, don't go... I'm just saying, I've looked at the pictures. Don't go spreading a rumor based on me, but I'm not the only person who said this.
Wait, he said they haven't announced it yet, like...
I don't know, but you've seen the pictures of him, right?
He looks
like a few years ago, he looked like a guy about his age. Now
he looks like Frank Miller.
Now he looks like Charles Xavier in Logan.
He looks like Frank Miller.
He's the old man Logan.
On Elm Street.
That was horrible. I'm sorry.
Might have to. Yeah.
I'm not in. Look, sorry. Anyway, Dark Knight.
The best part is, it's been good. It's been solid. It's been a good book.
Let's just move on to let's do our recommendations since the next segment is the movie reviews.
All right.
What do you want to recommend?
I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you pick up the Clone Conspiracy #1. No secret, I've been a big SpiderMan fan. I haven't been a big fan of this last run up until the last couple issues where Jackal came back and started doing this cool... resurrection stuff, not to be confused with the XMen stuff, that's a whole different thing. But Clone Conspiracy is...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We've talked about going to be the main Spider-Man title for the foreseeable future. And it's pretty cool. I don't know how to go into a lot without spoiling, except it's more hijinks with Jackal bringing people back to life that he maybe should not bring back to life. That will affect the other characters in the book.
Who should he bring back to life?
He should bring back...
All right. So anyway, I think we talked about this on the last episode, that this is the core book.
Yeah.
But of course, So the most recent issue was a tie-in issue in Amazing Spider-Man.
The Amazing Spider-Mans will be a tie-in to the main
right.
Clone Conspiracy.
And also Silk and one of the other books. I can't remember which one, but there's going to be a few different tie-in books. But
right.
The main book is Clone Conspiracy, which again does not have Spider-Man on the title. It just has him on the cover, like his face. But the Amazing Spider-Man issue addressed what's been going on with Doc Ock.
It goes all the way back to...
Spoilers, he's had a little robot Doc Ock crawling around for the last
right.
however many issues.
It goes all the way back to Superior Spider-Man and addresses that issue with Doc Ock, which is really cool. So both of these books together, I would recommend.
Yeah, it doesn't... It doesn't reveal anything in a future issue. It just kind of addresses things that the main book couldn't address.
They do rewrite a little bit of Gwen Stacy history. Kind of, sort of. No spoilers.
I think technically that is, but doesn't matter. But so your recommendation is Clone Conspiracy,
along with the
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yeah.
I'm actually going to go ahead and recommend 2 books as well. Shockingly, one of them is a Bendis title. Infamous.
Done.
I keep wanting to call it Infamous Doom. It's Infamous Iron Man. Alex Maleev and Brian Bendis, who were the creative team on Daredevil for a long time, and it's some of Bendis' best work. Really, like to me, his 2 best creative partners is Maleev and can't think of his name, but the guy on Jessica Jones. Gatos, Michael Gatos. Like those 2 guys bring out, I think, his best qualities. The idea for Infamous Iron Man is that Dr. Doom has been looking for something to do. He's been working with Tony for a while, ever since the reboot of the universe.
He actually feels remorse for his...
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Well,
we don't know what his motivations are.
Into that.
Yeah. But anyway, so he decides that the world needs an Iron Man because something has happened to Tony. We don't know what exactly. So he decides he's going to... It's honestly, it's not this cliched or cheesy, because I'm saying it's not a ripoff, but it really is the superior Spider-Man version of Iron Man, where a villain decides, I can be a better version.
I'm going to do it better than you.
But he's also trying to be a better version of himself in a way. So, and there's a few surprises. The first issue feels a little short, because it brings up a bunch of stuff. It probably should have been double-sized, but it's really solid. Great art, good story. I'm really interested.
It definitely lays a lot of groundwork down for a pretty cool series. There's some implications of stuff that may or may not happen during Civil War II. It's a good book.
All right, so check that one out. The other thing I'm going to recommend is a series by Mark Miller and Greg Capullo called Reborn. Didn't make as much of a splash as you would think for Greg Capullo's new book. I know you said it sold pretty well. People were picking it up. I feel like it didn't make as much noise, though, on the internet as it should have. So, like I said, later on we're going to talk about Logan. I was talking about to a friend about Mark Miller's work. And Mark Miller's a dude who, he's a good writer and sometimes a great writer. But sometimes the stories go too far and sometimes they feel a little incomplete. But he's still turning out good work. Like Secret Service, which turned into Kingsman, the movie. Because a lot of his books these days are intentionally designed to be miniseries that will turn into a movie.
Right. And
Reborn, I promise, is the same plan. It's pretty obvious. But Secret Service was solid. Really, really good book. I love Kingsman. I love the movie, but they kind of have their own thing going. They're both pretty good. And I think Reborn's another entry into that, where the idea for Reborn is basically it's about this woman she's at the end of her life. She's lived a long life. She's loved people. She's lost people. And her granddaughter says to her, like you're going to go to heaven or something like that. And she says, I don't believe in that. We're just done. And it's a pretty sad thing. And then it turns out she's wrong, that there is something else out there that you would not quite call heaven. I don't want to give away like the ending, but basically when you die in this universe, you wake up on another planet in sort of another life. You look different. You're younger. You're healthier.
You're basically
you're reborn.
Reborn.
That's it. But you're not like, it's not like not karma. What's the thing where
reincarnation?
It's not like reincarnation. You still have your memories. You're the same person. You're just born into sort of a different world and a different life. And but pretty interesting, very good. It's nice to see Greg Capullo do something so tonally different than, because he's been on Batman for, 5 years? So,
Yeah, 2011.
So, good stuff. But yeah, check out Clone Conspiracy, Reborn, and Infamous Iron Man. I think that's going to be it now. The next segment is going to be a movie review, which is also a little long.
Also coming up on the 29th of October, we're having Halloween Comics Fest.
Oh, yeah, we should mention that. Yeah.
It's kind of like a miniature free comic book day. Come in costume. We're going to have stuff to give away. Lots of free books to give away. Sampler books. There's the Dr. Aphra series has just been announced. Spinoff of the Darth Vader.
Yeah, she's kind of the Han Solo on the dark side of the Force.
Right. Her first appearance book is going to be given away for free. We'll have local comic superstar Derek Donovan in-house drawing live. And
Is Namaker going to be there?
Yeah, Amaker will be there too.
Okay. Local author and
international
DJ.
rock star
Yeah.
Kurt Amaker.
Kurt Amaker, friend of BSI friend, and yeah, he DJs in
Helsinki,
Europe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so go check that out. So you said that's October 29th?
29th. Stop in.
Saturday?
Stop in. Make sure you're in costume. I won't be there because I'll be in San Antonio, but
Get me my book signed.
Right.
Anyway, so we'll just go ahead and say read more comics and check out this next segment, which will end abruptly. Peace!